Hi, I'm David Jameson, and welcome to Outside Explorer. Today we're going to be looking at a marine beach here in South Puget Sound near the city of Olympia, state capital. We're going to talk a little bit about the geology of the area and the animals and plants that grow on the beach. So we'll take a minute before we go down and look at the animals and plants to talk a little bit about what a beach is and why it's here. About 13,000 years ago, there were a number of glaciers that came down through Canada out into the United States, one of which, a big lobe, came down into Puget Sound. And in fact, it covered us about a mile deep in ice. As it started to melt, the glacier dug out several large gouges in the earth, and we're standing in one called Butt Inlet. And as it retreated, water filled in. So what we're seeing then is a remnant of the glacier in terms of these little rocks. And the other thing is the tide. We're standing at mid-tide, and the tide comes and goes on a twice-a-day basis. And so in about 2 hours, we'll be underwater. And so this movement of tide in and out, plus waves from storms, has eroded the sediments along the side, bringing all this material down on the beach. And so right now, the average tide level, this is what the beach is going to look like in the future if we have more global warming, and so the waters rise, while they're going to start eroding more and more of the cliff, and the beach is going to move back toward the cliffs. What you see on the surface of these rocks is a seaweed called sea lettuce, and it grows in flat sheets all on top of the rocks here that are more stable. They don't grow on the gravel. So what we're seeing now are a number of small crabs called shore crabs. They live under the rocks during the low tide time because they don't want to be eaten by seagulls. When the tide comes in, they come out and they forage underneath on the sediments and underneath the sides of the rocks. So what we've got here is a sea star. The upper back here is very spiky and hard, and that's to protect it from fish eating it. It has a little white dot in the middle, and that's a sieve. And because they have a unique system to this major group of animals, where they suck water in, and then they charge a hydraulic system that runs down all the arms, and it runs the tube feet. And if you look closely here, the gravel is attached to tube feet. You can see these little tiny things here. And that's what they use to move, using the hydraulic system and muscles in the tube. There's the tube feet stretched out. We don't have a magnifying lens on the camera, but if you did put one down, you'd see little tiny parrot beaks that are all over the surface here, and they're always going like this. And what that does is when the larvae of some barnacle or some other animal lands on the surface, these little beaks crush them, kill them, and keep the surface free. I can put this on my arm like this, let it sit for a few seconds, and those little things called pedicularia will grab the hair. And so as I raise it up, you can see the hair pulling up. We use this course for scooping animals out of the water, and there's a little reservoir at the bottom to keep them alive, and then we take them over to an aquarium over here or in the bucket and put them in so that everybody gets a chance to see them.
Pretty much anybody can do this. You don't have to be a biologist. You don't have to be, you don't have to have a degree. All you really need is a flashlight and maybe a bucket or a yogurt container, a little Tupperware container. And it doesn't have to be the ocean. It can be a puddle. It can be a pond. You know, to go to the water and to observe, to just sit quietly and watch and see what you can see. And oftentimes what you can see in the beam of a light at night is going to be different from what you notice in the daytime. And so to just come and spend time here and get to know the animals that are in your neighborhood is a huge learning experience, and it changes your worldview.
I hope you've had a great time tonight. We've seen all kinds of really neat things. This has been very productive. If you're interested in coming out here to Washington to Puget Sound and seeing this, why, give us a holler on the internet at South Sound Estuary Association. Stay tuned for more Outside Explorer.